Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that
had a beard and nipples. Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, she means always, they mean always, you mean always, an instant classic.
Danny Dog! Hi, Jake.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
All right, what's going on, good people? Back at it again.
The first one will always be better.
I literally
way too long for an intro.
I literally have no, it's not. How is that way too long? Explain.
It's too long.
Explain how. How is that too long?
It's
How?
too long.
We have an hour and a half.
Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that
had a beard and nipples.
See, it's short, it's simple, it gets to the point.
You know what? Forget to you. Forget to you. We're gonna talk about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I've always wondered this though, like, why do they do it when they do it? Like, why at this random point in the year they're like, you know what?
Because they're dumb.
Because I mean, it's literally July. Like, it's not like it's like, oh, right after Mania, into the wrestling year or something. No. It's just. Oh, there we go. I hear him. Just a random time of the year. I don't get it. Anyway, what's going on, good people? We're gonna talk about the Meltzer Awards or the Wrestling Observer. What'd you say?
No, the AEW Awards.
The AEW Awards, yeah. We're gonna talk about those. DJ here. Casey is over there. You can't see him. Adam is down there. You can't see him.
See me?
Which you can't see me. But we're gonna talk about these here awards and see what you guys thought. What you guys thought. Kind of, we might give a couple of our own individual, like, who we thought should have been, should have won these awards. We may not do it for all of them, but I guess we'll see, because some of these are.
We're gonna do all of them.
No.
All of them.
No.
All of them.
Let's just start with the big kahuna, right? The big tuna, the big, I don't have any more words. Let's start with Wrestler of the Year, which I feel like Kenny won it last year, right?
You gotta start.
Of course he did.
You gotta start small and work up. What you doing?
No, we starting with the big tuna.
We'll start with you.
You can't blow your load right in the beginning of the show.
We got to start with the smallest manager there ever was. Let's start with C.R. O'Malley. Not manager of the year, right? No.
Manager of the century. Fuck you.
So Wrestler of the Year was Kenny Omega with, I think
he wrestled half of the year.
I think 37.5.
That was what I thought when I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute, he's been injured since like last year or earlier.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I don't know. Like, it's confusing because it's like, is it for this year so far? Is it
this is for 2021. But to your point, yes, it doesn't make any sense that they have it's like the baseball draft. They have it at the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I want to preface this too. Yes, this is from fan voting. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
I'm sure.
So, like, for example, Kenny Omega had 37.55. Roman Reigns had 16.36, which I do think it's kind of ridiculous that would be the discrepancy in that. This is probably the best run of Roman. I mean, it's definitely the best run of Roman Reigns' career. And you're trying to tell me he wasn't within a sniff of Kenny 8 belts Omega? Like, I don't necessarily feel that way. But anyway, Danielson was fourth. Punk was on this list.
Mox was last, I think, in the running.
Yeah, Mox was on the list. He was last. Page was 8th. out of the 10. I mean,
Which he shouldn't be listed at all, but they reason.
I feel like I mean, if we're gonna go off the votes that were received, I would give it to Reigns over Omega just for having one of the best runs of the year. I mean, Omega had a good little heel, chicken sheet heel type run, and I mean, he beat it. It felt like, I mean, and I think that's the point of a heel too. But if I don't know if he necessarily elevated other guys as opposed to he just beat other guys. Like I'm gonna be frustrated about this title run, and I know it's not champion of the year, and I get that, but I want to be frustrated about this title run specifically because he won the Impact title, and then they buried Impact the entire way through. Like I was like, Impact, why did you even sign up for this? Why, like, what was the point for you guys here? But yeah, I think
Kenny lost the Impact title. Oh, who from TNA won the title? Nobody did. It was Christian.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I just nah. I don't think Kenny deserves to
put this in perspective too, because you mentioned that he had a heel run. I would like to ask. I mean, because this is not a Kenny problem too. This is people that are trying to be heels as a whole. What part of Kenny was really a heel, other than he just had Don Callis and he cheated every once in a while? Other than that, he wrestles the same. He doesn't. His promos are no different.
You mean no good and awkward.
Exactly. I like to bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night. Bang. Callis, if Callis would just talk for him, which he did mostly, but if he just did the predominantly the talking, I think it would level up a little bit more. But yeah, but just as a whole, I mean, personally, if you give my wrestler of the year, it was Roman. Hands down, bar none, best business, best promos, et cetera, et cetera. But
I mean, Roman literally like reinvigorated his career with this run.
Yeah.
I mean, because I mean, I'm not saying we've seen like Pete Kenny or anything like that, but I mean, I just feel like it was a typical Kenny Omega run, right? Like beats everybody, wins all the belts. Like
we love Kenny so much, let's just make him wrestler of the year. Which, speaking of Danielson, he finally won his own award.
Yeah.
It's been the Bryan Danielson Award forever, and I think he's up until this year he had never won it.
Y'all got any thoughts on wrestler of the year, Kenny Omega, or who you think should have been wrestler of the year, and why Casey feels like it should have been Curryman?
First of all, it should have been Danhausen.
Absolutely not.
Mute him.
Should have been Danhausen. It should have been Danhausen and Orange Cassidy together.
Dan Cassidy.
Dustin, it's the
Orange Hausen.
Talked about this morning.
Justin in the group chat. It's like that's feud of the year right there.
And Justin versus the chat.
Is there an award for no show of the year? Because Justin would have won that.
Let's hop down to tag team of the year. The Young Bucks won it. My issue is I don't even hate the Young Bucks by no means, but what did they do? What did they do? What did they do to deserve tag team of the year credentials? Like I mean,
they're the Young Bucks. That's what they did.
I mean, geez, I feel like even though I was kind of up and down about RK Bro the whole year, I liked them at least. Like I was like at least interested in what they were gonna do. I would say RK Bro on that one.
Well, no, for me, it's FTR. Because, like, here's the
Sure.
thing: the non-observer readers, the general public, they made FTR the best tag team in the world, consistently having the best matches, et cetera, et cetera. What they did with the Briscoes, I'll even put the Bucks over. 'Cause, I forget what match of the year was. I think it was Kenny and Page for the title, which was a laugh riot. It was fine, but I wasn't like, oh my
No,
god.
that was match of the year was Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros at All Out, and then feud of the year was Omega and Hangman,
That's
which
right.
is
That's right. Well, for me,
hilarious to me.
match of the year was Briscoes versus FTR, hands
Yeah.
down. And our classic line honorable mention, FTR versus the Young Bucks on Dynamite. So I think that's FTR Young Bucks 2. Incredible. But again, it's the same thing each year. We like the Young Bucks. And there's just no other way around it. And they're getting pissed that FTR is getting more over than they are, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if wrestling in 2022 could be booked properly, would be a great feud. Like that's the storyline right there, right? Like, we were bigger than you. We were the bigger tag team. You were in this second-rate developmental, whatever you want to say, right? And then have FTR be like, well, we came into your house and we're more popular than you are. Like, the feud writes itself.
Well, real quick, did you see what Kevin Nash, or the report of apparently what Kevin Nash said to Shawn Michaels when he visited the Performance Center?
No.
Yeah, Nash said, like, you got to tell these guys to slow the fuck down. And Michaels said, and I get what Michaels said to a degree, but he says, like, man, that's not the style anymore. People
Right.
just want to see high spots and yada yada yada. And Nash looked at him and said, bullshit. And he went through these various points and said, give me any FTR match over the Young Bucks any day of the week.
I watched something about, because Nash was talking about how he's worked with Omos and at the Performance Center from time to time. And he was kind of like hinting to that point, like not with Omos, but just in general. They're just trying to do too much. Like, he was talking about why heels aren't heels nowadays or something like that.
I just have to add my 2 cents in there, because from a bunch of veterans that I've learned from and that I've talked to, you need, psychology wise, and for your fan base, you need to slow down from what they do. And I've brought this up on the podcast before, but you need to slow down so that people can process what is happening. Right? You do a big move, you pause and you slow down so they can process that big move. Because if you just do a big move and then immediately into something else, that big move just meant nothing because you immediately went into something else.
Yeah.
And that's most, especially on the indies, that's most matches. It's like, you don't remember, match 3 from match 7 because they're all copy and paste. They're all, flips, suicide dive, high spot, blah, blah, blah. There's no storytelling. And as for heels, the problem is everyone wants to be the cool heel. Everyone wants to be the likable heel, And I can kind of understand it, because my buddy and I were having this conversation. It's like, back in the day, heels didn't sell merch because the money that you made, it was either from the promoter or your opponent would give you a certain percentage of what they made on their merch. Because it was really kayfabe back then. You weren't going to go out and mingle with the fans because you were a heel.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore. So you have to guys don't want to be that real heel because they want to make money. They want to go out and they want to sell T-shirts, and partially they have to because a lot of places you're not getting paid, and if you are, you're not getting paid a lot. So it's like I can kind of see both sides. I wish we could go back to when heels could really be heels, but that's just. And again, that kind of goes a little bit towards what Sean was saying. Like, that's just not how the business is anymore. But I do think they need to slow down in matches and let the fans really process what is going on.
Well, and I think too, like one of the things that drives me crazy sometimes is like when you have the perfect way to end a match and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going in the match. Like I'm like that should be the finish right there. That's good. Like, oh snap, okay. Like, and I'm all for a good false finish, but sometimes it's just overkill, right? Sometimes it's like goodness, like that should have been the end of the match 10 moves ago. Why are we still going? We're trying to one up this, that, and the third instead of just finishing the match where the match should have been finished.
Yeah, that's why "Fight Forever" is the stupidest chant in wrestling. Fight forever. Why? Like, did you bring a sleeping bag? Are you going to take a nap in between?
I mean, it was cool the first time it happened, right? Because it's a new chant, cool. But then now it's like everything has to be fight forever. Every match is worthy of fight forever. Everyone.
Literal. You can have a card where you start off with a hot match and you get the crowd going, but then you got to bring them down a little bit. Whatever, you can't show them everything from the first three matches, because then how do you build from that? And it's more than just follow that. Well, no shit, asshole, we can't follow that because you just did everything under the sun. What am I supposed to do? Bring out a bazooka?
Yeah, and I think for the Fight Forever chant, it can only be used in like a really intense, like, blow off to a feud, or if you're doing like an Iron Man match or, last man standing match, then you can, fight forever. Okay, I can take that. But if it's just a random tag team match on Dynamite, why are you chanting fight forever? I want this match to end, please.
Yeah. Match of the year was Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros, which I felt was at All Out, which I felt was a good match. But I think if I got to go back to 2021, I'm thinking of one of the many Josh Alexander versus TJP matches for the X Division Championship. I when I was trying to watch Impact consistently at that point in time, like that was always Josh Alexander's just a sin. Speaking of guys who probably could be wrestler of the year, a guy who, I doesn't get like the publicity per se because it's Impact, but a guy who really, I think, truly in 2021, which feels like forever from now, easy for me to say, feels like a guy who really took, that next step. He went from being in one of the top tag teams, I felt like, with the North, with Ethan Page, and then ended up being a guy who was, world champion, and even the crazy finally gets the world championship, and then they cut the rug up under him with Moose cashing in the little, what is it called?
I forget what it
Fired, I think. Gauntlet for the Gold. Gauntlet for the Gold, or Feast or Fired, or whatever it's called, but good stuff. But I mean that was a good one for me. I felt like, I'm trying to think if there's any there. I mean, the crazy part is, like, and I'm just looking at like a list of matches that, just because, like, I mean, why they did this at this time frame, I'll never understand, because 2021 was forever ago. But I was looking, like, Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Like, that was one that I forgot about, actually, which is what, TakeOver 36.
Yeah,
you know,
but
that was
take
a good one. Yeah. Rollins and Cesaro at Mania was good. And of course, like, I mean, probably the one I even would probably put over Alexander and TJP, Sasha and Bianca was last year. Wasn't it? The main event of WrestleMania?
Who's that?
About that? Was that Sasha versus
Sasha and Bianca was Mania last year.
Yeah, which, I mean, if we're actually talking 2021 in July of 2022, I feel like, you know, that was a good one too. But y'all got thoughts on match of the year, potential matches of the year? Do you agree with the Observer Awards?
Fine, but I just look at, like, I'm trying to think back of everything, everything last year. But I said, whether it was last year into this year, like I said, Briscoe's FTR at that Ring of Honor show.
Yeah, that would be for me too.
Yeah.
The feud of the year, I have Jericho versus Jesse Ventura. But no, on that I put MJF versus Punk.
Yeah.
I personally still like FTR Briscoe's more.
Yeah, I mean, I think feud of the year was MJF versus Punk. I think we've been waiting on it.
Is there promos of the year? Because Mark Briscoe, just Mark Briscoe.
And I believe MJF was promo of the year, but if I would give an honorable mention, it would be to the chicken himself. I don't understand the English language.
I know. I saw something about Excalibur getting Best Announcer again.
Okay. Let me polish this.
When it's obviously Pat McAfee, by the way.
Well, no, like, for me, just for straight up, like calling a wrestling match, a wrestling show, up until the time that they went under, per se, and he's been used here and there, whatever. I put Io Riccaboni. He is, the Priests, I think, are a great pair. The worst, just for to be spiteful, whatever, those Excalibur. And again, it's not just to be contrarian. Like, for me, the reasons behind it is that, yes, he can call the moves, but I'm getting sick and tired of him presenting everything as if everybody knows what said move is and who this person debuting is. Him and Shivani losing his mind, and I put Shivani in that category too. I put Excalibur / Shivani, because Shivani gives absolutely nothing to the television show. And I love Tony. I grew up with him, watching, him on Nitro, this, that, and the other. He gives absolutely nothing to that broadcast. And him being a stick man, he's useless, because he'll ask a question and the guy will take the microphone away from him, and then he just sits there in the corner. If you're not going to let the guy do his job, there's only like two guys that actually let him do it, and that's Christian and Punk, then don't put him in there. Do not put him in there.
Well, and as for that, because I've had that happen, like, where the heel will take away the microphone from the backstage announcer. If that happens, it should only be maybe once a show, and it should be one of the heels, not every single heel. And if it happens, the announcer or the interviewer should get out of the frame, because then you're like, why are you still standing there? You should be intimidated. You should be, because these are the quote unquote superstars. These are the larger than life guys. You're just the guy holding the microphone. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Tony Schiavone. I don't care. Your job is to then just move out of the way. Go. You did your job. Go. Now the camera is focused on the heel. That's it.
Yeah. I was gonna say too. Sorry, guys. I got baited into a bad face tattoo video. That was the thumbnail was a really bad face
Is-
tattoo, and I had to click on it. Had to.
Is there such thing as a good face tattoo?
No. But I was gonna say too, another guy who I think deserves a lot of credit for the past year and a half that he's had is Michael Cole. A guy who's been ragged on for years and years and years now, but it feels like he kind of got his passion back a little bit with McAfee by his side. If you hear him like just talk about McAfee a little bit, it's interesting to hear kind of their relationship and like how he has like kind of like given him a little bit more of that oomph that he needed a little bit. I think. I mean, I think just to hear him kind of be like passionate and almost like young again, you know, not, I mean, he's still a little robotic. I mean, but I mean, that's WWE for you. I don't know if I'd put him at, you know, commentator of the year, but if I can put a guy as like most improved, I think Michael Cole deserves a lot of credit.
Well, I would just say too with Cole, I mean, you don't get that chair. You don't get that chair unless you're, you know, and yes, I understand this is WWE, unless you're good to some degree. Cole's not great, but he sells what WWE is trying to sell to the public, you know, to the wrestling fans. He's been doing it now for like 20 plus years. And I understand, like, again, he's a meme, he's a punchline, all that stuff. I get it. I would rather listen to Michael Cole than listen to him scream "boss time" or "it's the big dog." Blah, blah, blah. Rather listen to that than Excalibur give this convoluted long name for an arm drag. Yeah, for God's sakes. And here's the other thing on that list: worst announcer, Corey Graves. I'm sorry, false. I mean, again, all kidding aside, I just wish Excalibur A would lose the mask and B just again talk to them as if this is somebody watching the program for the first time. But again,
sorry, I just saw that Nick Gage won PWI Indie Wrestler of the Year.
Well, stupid.
That's hilarious.
But just real quick, Corey Graves again is another one. He's not great, but he fits WWE style. And I understand, you know, he tries to be Jesse Ventura, he tries to be Bobby the Brain, blah blah blah. I think he is a solid announcer. Yes, sometimes he's another one that gets a little redundant, whatever though. But again, I'd rather listen to him to Excalibur. Sorry.
Well, the thing with Excalibur, and it's not even just him. If you noticed, a lot of guys in AEW who haven't learned how to work on a national stage. They don't know because, and we've talked about this before. At this point, you're trying to get casual fans in on your program. You want to get new faces. Yes, you want to cater to the hardcore fans, of course, obviously. They're the ones that are always going to be there for you. But you want to build up your audience. You can't do that, you know, if you're acting like all the fans know everything, because they don't. And I don't think he understands that. I don't think he gets that, like, bro, this isn't PWG anymore. This isn't an indie show anymore. You are on a national stage. Like, you're on a national, you know, broadcasted television show. You have to explain to people who these people are. Explain this move. Hell, you can even go into, you know, explaining why you would do this move here. Cool, I'm cool with that. But you don't need to do the convoluted, you know, names and stuff like that. We don't care that, you know, it's a, you know, Fujiwara armbar or blah, 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 or whatever.
For 97.
Yeah, like, if it's an armbar, just say it's a fucking armbar. If, you know, if it's a suplex, just say it's a suplex. You don't need to. We're not all, like, everyone watching the show isn't an expert in pro wrestling. Some people are just trying to, you know, gauge if they like the show or not.
Well, not only that, like, okay, like an example, Baron Corbin, his move, Deep Six, he does it. It's unique. It's different. You get it.
Yeah.
But again, someone throwing a reverse suplex, or Texas Cloverleaf, figure four, like that. It's just that. It's not the.
Yeah. Yeah. I got two more points I wanted to talk about, and then if y'all got anything else to say, feel free. But I saw Jade Cargill won Rookie of the Year, which I think is a decent one. I would still give it to Braun Breaker.
I still don't like her.
Again, she's still, I would say, an acquired taste, but they at least treat her like a champion. That she goes in and she just beats people. She's still not great in the ring, but I do the aura of her. They are treating her special. They still have a long way to go, but they're at least protecting her properly.
What were you saying, Casey?
But the problem is they're not protecting her where they need to, which is in the ring.
That's true.
That's true. Again, like I said, I saw that thrust kick that she did a couple weeks ago. Didn't even come fucking close at all. That you can't do that.
Yeah, she gave not Thunder Rose, but she gave somebody her finish from the second rope that kind of like Beth Phoenix's move. Ooh. maybe we build to that. And she is getting trained like before like the doors open, all that stuff. She's like working in the ring with Bryan Danielson. You'd think you'd get just a little better. No, but I would agree with that. They're not protecting her in the ring. That's why if even if it is a name per se, just again 5-6 minutes and just beat him, get in, get out.
I think too, like that's the hard part because they pushed her so high, taking her away would almost like kill all of her momentum. Like, and that's kind of like it's the double-edged sword of it. You want to push this, new
not
athletic.
Necessarily.
No,
you just book her as like, oh, she can beat so and so in like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm saying like she's at the disadvantage of having to be on live TV every week too, where she's not like in development or she's not on the indies or whatever, where she can kind of either hide that stuff or like gradually get better. Like it's right in front of her eyes every single week. And she's not only that, she's the champion on top of that. So like there's an expectation we have of her, but if she's not ready for that expectation, I mean, I think that's a booking issue too.
Well, even there, I would book it like this. Since she's a heel, I would have her come out with her manager, because doesn't she still have a manager? That's smart.
It was a fake lawyer, Mark Sterling, but now now she has Noah.
Whoever she has, I would have them come out and do the typical heel. Okay, I've beat all these people. You don't have anything for me. I'm going to come back when you have a suitable opponent for me. That's how you write her off TV. That's how you explain why she's not going to be there every week. And you can still film like vignettes and stuff like that.
Yes.
And have those every week. You don't have to have her on TV every week. You don't.
Just what I was going to say, that have her at the club, show her that she's spending money like a crazy person, whatever, though, living the high life.
Yeah. And then I think too, like, kind of like on that point, like, have her come back once a month or so, like have her training, of course, but have her come back and have a match maybe like once a month and, continue that cycle on and on and on. And I guess that's hard too, because I mean, people cry and complain about people not being on TV. So that would be maybe that's something they thought about, and they're like, they knew they would get pushback from it, so they decided to just push it as heavy as they can, like quick as possible. That's the only thing I can think of, because I mean, I think that's a good idea, Casey. But I think at the same time, like people complain about Roman being off TV for a month or whatever it was.
People complain about everything anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, but when Tony Khan compared her run Goldberg-esque, I did a spit take. Sorry. like, one, don't put that type of weight on Jade's shoulders. And plus, I'm sorry, not comparable. Goldberg drew money.
Yeah.
Like, again, you can say he was this, that, and the other in the ring. The motherfucker drew money.
And even though we don't want him to come back, if Goldberg came back for a big show and he was on the marquee, there's a chance I would buy a ticket to see that match. I would not buy a ticket just to see Jade Cargill. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a draw yet.
Nope.
At least not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people that, yeah, sure, but
again, they're trying. They're trying.
Yeah. And then I just saw something here at the bottom that said when they were talking about the 2010s that Mania 30 was pay-per-view of the decade. I thought they would go to Mania 31. I thought they would go to Mania 30. I don't know.
I mean,
I thought it was interesting. But I don't know. Like, yeah. But anyway, any final thoughts? Anybody? Oh wait.
Promoter of the year, I'll give that to Tony Khan. But again, best booker, it's not Tony Khan. I put Cornette. Promotion of the year, I said No Mercy, N64. Best weekly show, Stranger Things.
I agree.
Just because neither show has hooked me. And I don't know what this talk of Raw possibly going back to, TV 14, like, for whatever that's worth, which even then me and Casey I think, well, actually we all kind of banned at it a little bit of that doesn't mean it's going to be the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And if it just means that guys can, like, be a little bit more authentic, you're still going to have the silly stuff that they have. I mean, again, it's still a publicly traded company. But if you can let guys just be a little bit more of themselves and not be what's her face with her damn pajamas and a pillow, and maybe stop with the creatures flying out of Matt Riddle's ass, stuff like that. That's
the best part of wrestling right now.
Just anyway, as my main point was, it can't hurt, because right now what they're doing, like, I keep saying, like, who is this appealing to? And their main audience is people that are older.
Yeah. You need to try to get that younger audience in there. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to get new people watching your show. Otherwise, like, it's exactly like the argument that we always bring up with, like, them always going to their veterans. Great. They're established. That's great. They're going to put on good matches. They're not going to be there forever, though. Like, they're not going to be able to perform forever.
Especially when you kick them out of their own groups.
Yeah. Same with fans. Yes. Your older demographic is, supports you and is always going to be there, but they're not always going to be there.
Yeah.
You have to start building those new fans, bring new fans in, just like us. We weren't always, something attracted us to pro wrestling. I don't feel like they're doing that anymore.
Nope. All right. As always, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back.
Did not enjoy at all.
We'll be back for part 2 with Justin. Oh wait, he probably won't show up. Yeah, but
welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that
had a beard and nipples.
My bad. My bad. I thought that was the cue. My bad.
Well, by the way, I want the record to be known that Justin says he does not care about this podcast.
We know.
He's too busy with the Juggernaut show. Come on, guys.
Then somehow that show is going to end up on this feed again.
It is.
But as always, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can also watch us on YouTube and Facebook at times from time to time. But as always, for DJ, who is me, Adam, who is Adam, and Casey, who is not CR O'Malley, we will see you guys on the next one. Until next time.